My friends, the very first step toward controlling your thoughts and changing your life is to realize this truth: your thoughts are not accidents. They are choices. Too many people live as if they are victims of what enters their minds. They wake in the morning, and whatever mood greets them, whether it is worry, anger, or weariness, they accept it without resistance. They move through the day reacting to circumstances, tossed about like a leaf in the wind. When the day is over, they wonder why they feel empty, frustrated, and defeated. But the answer is simple: they have surrendered the power of choice over their own minds. Understand this clearly: you are not at the mercy of your thoughts. You are the master who gives them direction. Just as a captain charts the course of his ship, you must chart the course of your mind. If you leave it unguarded, the winds of fear, doubt, and negativity will carry you to places you never intended to go. But if you take the wheel with a steady hand, you can sail to any destination you choose. Deciding what you will think is not a casual act. It is an act of courage, of discipline, and of responsibility. When you wake each morning, you must choose deliberately the mental state that will govern your day. Will you think of gratitude, or will you dwell on complaints? Will you think of opportunity, or will you focus on obstacles? Will you think of solutions, or will you magnify problems? These decisions are not small. They determine the quality of your life. Let me illustrate. Imagine two men who face the same setback. Both lose their jobs unexpectedly. The first man allows despair to take hold. He says to himself, "I am finished. Life has betrayed me." He spends his days blaming fate, replaying failure, and imagining only loss. Soon his despair becomes visible in his face, in his posture, and in his actions. Opportunities pass him by because no employer wishes to hire a man who radiates defeat. The second man, however, faces the same loss and makes a different decision. He tells himself, "This is my chance to find something greater. I will use this as the fire that pushes me forward." He chooses thoughts of faith, determination, and growth. His eyes remain alive, his words carry conviction, and his actions show persistence. And soon, opportunities open before him because the world cannot resist a man who thinks with power. What separated these two men? It was not the event. It was the choice of thought. One surrendered to weakness. The other commanded his mind with strength. Now I ask you, how many times have you allowed yourself to be the first man, carried by thoughts of despair? And how often have you chosen instead to be the second man, commanding your mind toward strength? The difference is life-changing. Decide, therefore, that you will never again drift with the current of undisciplined thoughts. Decide that when negativity knocks at the door, you will not give it shelter. Decide that when fear whispers, you will answer with courage. Decide that when doubt arises, you will replace it with faith. Your entire life is built upon the foundation of your daily thoughts. They are the architects of your destiny. If you wish to change your life, you must first change what you allow to live in your mind. So I say to you, take hold of your mind as the greatest treasure you possess. Do not let it wander. Do not let it be poisoned. Do not let it be ruled by anything outside your control. Decide deliberately, decide daily, and decide with discipline what you will think. And you will discover that life itself bends in the direction of your decision. Your mind is the most valuable fortress you will ever possess. Inside it lies your future, your wealth, your health, your relationships, and your destiny. Yet, most people guard their money more carefully than they guard their thoughts. They install locks on their homes, alarms on their cars, and safes for their valuables, while leaving the doorway of their mind wide open for anything to enter. If you allow anyone and anything to plant seeds in your mind, do not be surprised when weeds grow instead of flowers. Every word you hear, every conversation you entertain, every book you read, every song you absorb, every voice you trust, they are all planting something in the soil of your subconscious. Over time, those seeds grow into the beliefs that control your life. So I tell you, guard the gates of your mind as though your life depends on it, because it does. Think about this each day. Fear knocks at the door. It arrives in the form of bad news, Gossip, negative people, and destructive influences. If you let it in, fear takes a seat at your table, whispers in your ear, and weakens your resolve. Doubt comes right behind it, speaking words like, "You cannot," "You are not enough," "Why even try?" And if you allow those voices into your inner fortress, they will soon command your actions. But you are the gatekeeper. You have the authority to say, "No entry." You have the right to refuse anything that poisons your faith, drains your energy, or corrupts your vision. Just as a king would never allow an enemy soldier to walk into his castle unchallenged, you must not allow destructive thoughts and influences to enter your mind unchecked. Let me share an image with you. Imagine a beautiful garden, lush, thriving, full of fruit and flowers. That garden represents your mind when it is carefully protected. Now imagine leaving the gate wide open for goats, thieves, and weeds. Within weeks, the garden is trampled, stripped, and choked with thorns. The difference between abundance and ruin lies in one simple act: guarding the gate. This principle applies in every area of your life. If you surround yourself with complainers, soon you will complain. If you spend your time listening to voices of failure, soon you will think in terms of failure. If you allow envy, fear, and hate to take root, they will grow until they dominate your spirit. But the reverse is also true. If you choose to associate with builders, dreamers, and doers, your mind will rise. If you read words of truth, strength, and vision, your inner fortress will grow unshakable. Guarding your mind requires discipline. It means refusing idle gossip, rejecting the temptation to dwell on problems, and limiting exposure to destructive influences. It means feeding your mind daily with thoughts of courage, wisdom, and success. It means choosing your company carefully, for every person you allow close to you carries an influence that either strengthens or weakens your spirit. Some will call this harsh. They will say, "But what about friends and family who are negative? Should we cut them off?" My answer is this: you do not need to cut them off, but you must guard your gates. If a loved one insists on speaking words of defeat, you must build an inner wall that keeps those words from lodging in your spirit. Listen without absorbing. Love without allowing poison to enter your mind. Remember this truth: the world will never stop sending negativity, but you can stop receiving it. You cannot control every word spoken around you, but you can control whether those words find shelter in your thoughts. That is the essence of guarding the gates. So I ask you today, will you leave your mind open to every destructive influence, or will you rise as the gatekeeper of your destiny? Will you allow weeds to choke your vision, or will you protect the fertile soil of your mind for greatness? Make the decision now. Guard your mind as you would guard a crown jewel. Refuse entry to fear, doubt, and weakness. Allow only those influences that build, inspire, and strengthen. Do this, and your life will become a fortress that nothing can overthrow. Nature does not tolerate emptiness. If you clear away one thing, something else will always rush to take its place. This law of life applies directly to your mind. You cannot simply chase out weak thoughts and hope they vanish forever. If you try to push away fear without replacing it, it will return stronger. If you silence doubt without filling the gap, it will creep back in. The only way to win the battle of the mind is this: replace weak thoughts with strong ones. Every time you think, you are feeding your inner self with either poison or nourishment. Fear is poison, doubt is poison, self-pity is poison. But courage, faith, and determination are nourishment. The secret lies in what you allow to remain. Picture a dark room. If you sit inside and complain about the darkness, the room remains the same. If you fight the shadows, they do not disappear. But if you light a single lamp, the darkness vanishes instantly. So it is with weak thoughts. You cannot battle them directly by resisting alone. You must light the lamp of strength within your mind and let it push the darkness away. Take fear as an example. Fear will always whisper in your ear, "You are not ready. You will fail." Others are stronger than you. If you simply argue with fear, it grows louder. But if you replace it with courage, you silence it. Speak to yourself instead, "I am ready. I will persist. Strength is born in me because I dare." The moment you hold on to that thought, fear loses its grip. The same is true with doubt. Doubt will say, "You do not have what it takes." If you let that thought linger, it will spread through your spirit like rot through wood. But if you replace it with faith, you destroy its power. Declare to yourself, "I can, I will, I must, I am capable." Such words, held firmly, build belief, and belief builds achievement. This principle is not wishful thinking. It is discipline. It requires practice the same way a soldier trains daily for battle. Every time you catch yourself thinking weakness, you must stop and deliberately choose a thought of strength. If anger rises, replace it with patience. If envy appears, replace it with gratitude. If despair comes, replace it with hope. The exchange must be swift, consistent, and determined. Consider this: two men plant seeds in a field. The first man plants thorns, the second plants wheat. When the harvest comes, the first man curses the soil for producing pain. But the soil did not choose. It simply grew what was planted. Your mind is that soil. It does not decide whether to grow weakness or strength. It grows whatever you sow. If you allow weak thoughts to take root, do not blame life for the harvest. Instead, plant strong thoughts, and you will reap abundance. Let me give you a real life vision. Think of a person who constantly says, "I am unlucky. Nothing ever works out for me." That person soon finds every door closed because his mind is tuned only to failure. Even when opportunities appear, he does not see them. Now think of a person who says, "I will create my chance. I will find a way." That person soon discovers doors opening, not because fate is kinder to him, but because his strong thoughts sharpen his eyes to see what others overlook. So I say to you, do not waste energy trying only to reject weakness. Replace it. Fill your mind so completely with strength that weakness has no room to exist. Think in terms of courage, faith, gratitude, persistence, and victory until they become natural to you. Remember, the mind is never empty. It is either occupied by thoughts that build you or thoughts that break you. You cannot serve two masters. Choose strength. Replace weakness instantly. Build the habit of thinking like a conqueror, and soon your life will reflect the strength of your mind. One of the greatest tragedies of life is that most people never hold a single thought long enough for it to bear fruit. They think of success today, then tomorrow they abandon it for doubt. They dream of building wealth this morning, and by evening they surrender to fear of failure. Their minds are like unsettled dust, blown in one direction and then another, and so their lives reflect this instability, scattered, inconsistent, and unfinished. But here is the eternal law: a thought, held with persistence, transforms into reality. Persistence is the glue that binds vision to achievement. Without it, even the noblest thought dies as an unfulfilled dream. With it, even the smallest seed of an idea grows into towering results. Your life today is nothing but the product of the thoughts you persisted in yesterday. Think of the sculptor who chisels stone. One strike of the hammer does nothing. 10 strikes may barely scratch the surface. But the 100th strike, after all the persistence, splits the stone open. Was it the 100th strike alone? No, it was the persistence of every blow before it. In the same way, one thought of success held for a moment means nothing. But a thought of success held day after day, year after year, reshapes the entire destiny of a person. The weak man allows his thoughts to change with his mood. When he feels inspired, he thinks of victory. When he faces opposition, he thinks of defeat. His mind shifts like a candle flame in the wind. But the strong man decides once what he desires, and he holds that thought as a flame sheltered by his hands. No wind can extinguish it. No obstacle can shake it. His persistence turns his thought into belief, and belief into reality. You must understand the power of repetition. A single affirmation of courage means little, but courage spoken to yourself every day becomes belief. Belief repeated in the subconscious becomes action. Action, repeated with persistence, becomes habit, and habit lived long enough becomes destiny. This chain begins with one thought, held long enough to sink roots deep into the soil of your being. Consider the farmer. He does not plant a seed today and expect fruit tomorrow. He plants, waters, protects, and waits. Every day he persists, though the soil looks unchanged. Weeks later, the first shoots appear. Months later, the harvest comes. Life itself works by this law. Yet most men abandon their thoughts before they sprout. They plant today and uproot tomorrow. They never persist long enough for the harvest to appear. Think also of the great inventors, leaders, and builders of the world. Every one of them was mocked, doubted, and resisted. But they persisted in holding one dominant thought that their vision was possible. The world eventually bent to their persistence, because no force on earth can defeat a man or woman who refuses to let go of a single great thought. Persistence, however, is not blind stubbornness. It is focused determination. It is the discipline to think of your vision when the world tempts you to quit. It is the decision to hold fast when setbacks come, when results are delayed, when critics laugh, and when even your own heart feels weary. Persistence is what keeps the fire alive when the night is darkest. So I ask you now, what vision do you truly desire? What thought must you hold until it shapes your life? Decide it, fix it in your mind, and then guard it with persistence. Let it become the first thought you wake with and the last thought before you sleep. Let it follow you as you walk, as you work, as you dream. Hold it long enough, and it will become flesh, it will become action, and it will become your destiny. Never forget, temporary defeat is only permanent for those who quit thinking persistently. Hold your vision. Hold it beyond doubt, beyond fear, beyond delay. Persistence is the bridge between thought and reality. Cross that bridge, and life will yield to you the results you demand. There is a secret law of success that many overlook. The greatest power of thought is not found in serving self alone, but in directing your thoughts toward service to others. A selfish thought is like a candle under a jar. It burns quickly and dies out. But a thought of service is like the rising sun. It lights the world and cannot be contained. Most people think only in terms of, what can I get? How can I gain? Where is my benefit? And though they may achieve small victories, their lives remain narrow, their influence weak, their satisfaction shallow. Why? Because selfish thoughts have limited energy. They can push you for a season, but they cannot sustain greatness. But when you direct your thoughts toward creating value for others, something extraordinary happens. Your vision expands. Your energy multiplies. Your persistence deepens. Opportunities you never imagined begin to appear. Why? Because the world rewards the man who serves it. Think of the great builders, inventors, and leaders of history. What united them? It was not only ambition. It was service. They held in their minds thoughts of how to improve life for others. They sought to solve problems, to cure diseases, to expand knowledge, to create opportunity, to lift nations. Their thoughts of service drew resources, people, and possibilities toward them like iron to a magnet. Service does not mean charity alone. It means aligning your thoughts with contribution. If you are in business, think not only of profit, but of how you can deliver greater value to your customers. If you are an artist, think of how your work can inspire the hearts of others. If you are a teacher, think of how your words can awaken the hidden potential in your students. Every life, no matter its station, holds the chance to serve. Here is the key. When your thoughts are directed toward service, you tap into an inexhaustible source of energy. A man who works only for himself grows tired quickly, but the man who works for the upliftment of others never runs dry. His mission fuels him. His vision sustains him. His service gives him a strength beyond ordinary limits. Consider two men. The first thinks only of himself. He says, how can I earn more for me? How can I rise higher than others? His life becomes a lonely climb, and though he may grasp temporary success, he finds it empty. The second man thinks, how can I create something that helps others? How can I add value to those around me? His life becomes a source of abundance, and the world cannot help but reward him, for everyone desires to be near the man who gives. This principle works even in your private life. When you direct your thoughts toward serving your family, your relationships grow stronger. When you think of serving your community, opportunities for leadership arise. When you think of serving humanity, you join the ranks of those who leave lasting legacies. But let me be clear, service is not about weakness or self. sacrifice that leaves you empty. True service uplifts both you and those you touch. It multiplies joy and multiplies influence. When you create value for others, you create value for yourself. So I say to you, lift your thoughts beyond yourself. Ask daily, whom can I help? How can I add value? What problem can I solve? Make this the dominating habit of your mind, and you will find life itself opening doors of greatness before you. Directing your thoughts toward service is the highest form of self-mastery. It aligns you with the laws of success, it connects you with the hearts of men, and it ensures that your work will outlive you. A selfish thought dies quickly, but a thought of service becomes immortal, carried forward in the lives of those you have touched. Remember this, the surest way to change your life is to direct your thoughts toward changing the lives of others. My friends, you have now seen the blueprint for mastering your mind and transforming your destiny. The path is not complicated. It is simple, but it demands discipline. First, you must decide what you will think, for without decision, your mind drifts, and drifting leads only to defeat. Second, you must guard the gates of your mind, for every influence you allow inside becomes part of your future. Third, you must replace weak thoughts with strong ones so that fear, doubt, and envy have no place in your spirit. Fourth, you must hold your thoughts with persistence, refusing to let them go until they take root and shape reality. And finally, you must direct your thoughts toward service, for only in service do you find the highest power of achievement. Together, these 5 principles form the foundation of mastery. They are not theories, they are laws. And when you obey them, life itself obeys you. So I leave you with this charge. From this day forward, take absolute control of your thoughts. Refuse to live as a prisoner of fear. Refuse to drift with the current of weakness. Refuse to surrender your mind to the influence of others. Stand as the master of your inner world, and you will soon stand as the master of your outer world. The greatest discovery you can ever make is this: when you control your thoughts, you control your life. Now go and build a destiny worthy of the power within you.